Nerd Reactor, roll out.
So a busy week for you. You're like just on the whole
Yes.
train for just promoting the Continental. I was at the event yesterday
Oh,
with
okay.
the the where you're like just showing off all the different demo with the sets with the phone booth.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times. That was a blur. Basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, with that, but you do remember like just I'm pretty sure you're like training back to back, like doing the
Mhm.
demo. And I love the
Yeah.
way that you instruct, like instead of
Mhm.
like just showing like for different people,
Mhm.
you show it in a way where it's like a story, like you're talking to someone on the phone and then you're like trying to bring them close. And so
Yeah.
where did that like come about, like that type of training?
Well, for me, I used to teach martial arts a lot. Uh, Thousands of kids. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. That's where my martial arts foundation started. Competed amongst the circuit. Basically retired after that and pursued Hollywood, so to speak. And then that journey led me into stunts, then led me into fight choreography. Fight choreography, I would say, is where that was discovered. Learning how to teach people efficiently because a lot of people don't have the time to become true efficient martial artists. So you got to find the best way to get them to that point quicker, which pays off when you're dealing with actors and sometimes independent films that really don't have that time. So I think those same principles apply whether you have 3 weeks to teach somebody or 3 months to teach somebody. The sooner that they can grasp the concept of what they're doing, the quicker they can look like a badass.
Oh yeah. And in the world of John Wick, the Continental, working on this, there's like 3 episodes,
Hmm.
and with that, uh, with that 3 episodes, did it feel like it's more daunting for a show like that, with especially with the longer episodes?
Yeah. I would say this. It felt like we were three films back to back. Like I can't believe that in I think 9 months we basically filmed three films. As to where some films take 9 months for one film. So we try not to think about the time, the scope, just the quality. That's the main thing. That if we're going to ask 90 minutes of your time as the audience, what's the best payoff? What's trying to make some memorable moments? And also, competing with ourselves. Like once you get one film done, you move on to the next one. You don't have time to pat yourself on the back, think about what you accomplished, all the challenges you overcame. It's like, okay, here's the newest challenge. How do we make this film better? How do we make episode two just as good as episode one? It may not have a lot of action. It's got a lot of story, but the little action that people are going to remember from episode two, it has to be great. And then obviously night three, I think there was some dialogue mixed between the action because it seemed like there was just so much of it.
Oh yeah. And yeah, one of the scenes that you were talking about at the preview event for the Continental, the
Hmm.
phone booth scene,
Yes.
and you were showcasing like the white square that
Hmm.
you be inside first, and then later on
Hmm.
you go inside the phone booth and it's like a tight corner. And
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure like all the projects that you do, you have to come up with all types of challenges.
Hmm.
And so what is that like just going into that, and like whether you're feeling excited, it's like, oh, I can do this,
Hmm.
or this is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, besides being different, besides it being part of the story and in the script, it's exciting because at the end of the day, you want to be different. You want people to check in and go, "Wow, that was interesting. I never seen a fight like that before." Because there's so much content out there, so many action movies. So when you say, "Okay, the fight's in the phone booth," okay, and you're like, wait a second, in the 70s, those phone booths were pretty small, and you don't want to make it bigger and over exaggerate it, like, oh, it's not a real phone booth because you made it to make it look like two people can fit in there. But yeah, once you get that down, the story, how long the fight should be, then you think about the styles, the backgrounds, and after that, you just try to come up with cool moments in there and film it properly so the audience, it gives them something to talk about because that fight scene I believe happens early in episode three, so you don't want it to be forgotten about when there's so much bigger action happening later. So we wanted to make it special. And the actors, they came in, they delivered.
Oh yeah. And speaking of like, there's so much content out there. You've done a lot of content. You've done a lot of movies, and I have to like, you've done a lot. And one of them, I'm like, oh, the Raid 2. You have to talk about the Raid 2. Like that is for me one of my favorite martial art films of all time. And like, what was your part in that?
I can't really take much credit on that one at all. I can't. No. I was actually prepping the Raid remake,
Yeah.
which a lot of people don't know about, So, and I happened to be there during the Raid too. So I just simply had a little time to play with the guys on some choreography stuff, but I couldn't stay and film the whole thing. So,
Yeah.
so I'm not taking any credit on that one at all, But Garrett's a great friend of mine, great mentor. We love, talking about what projects we're going to work together on, and stuff like that. But yeah, that was interesting being around that for such a short period of time and just having a chance to play with Eco and the guys and see what they were coming up with and throw a few ideas out there and stuff as well. But yeah, no, I'm not taking any credit on that one.
And okay, so other movies that you want to take credit of, because you've done like the Mortal Kombat web series, you've done like the big franchise stuff. Anything where you're like, oh, this is like such an awesome moment with these martial artists.
Oof.
I know there's a lot.
Yeah, and it's tough because I can't have a preference over anybody, but being that I come from the independent film circuit, and there's a big difference between, how things are approached, small budget to big budget. I want to say one thing that stands out for me is that Mortal Kombat short I did with Kevin Tantron, mainly because it was done from a place of passion. We only had 2 days. The fight scene we did between, if I'm correct, Baraka and Johnny Cage, which was Lateef Crowder and Matt Mullins. We thought we would have 8 hours. We shot that whole fight in 4.5 hours.
No.
And to me, when I look back on it, it's accomplishments like that mean a lot to me because it teaches me how to get a lot in a short amount of time, which is very helpful because time is always a hard part with filming, and you always want more of it. So I'm gonna say that one stood out, because that one went viral. I believe like 14 million hits in one day or something like that, or a few days. And back then, which I'm correct, was like 2010 or 11. That was rare, and for a short, which led to WB wanting to extend it out to a series. So yeah, that one really stands out to me more, having martial artists like that adapt to, hey, we don't have 8 hours. How much can we get done in 4 hours? And it still turned out amazing.